Hi guys, Dr. Ray from Chiropractic Plus, and this is your Orthotics and Pillow workshop. So we're going to learn all about the way to use pillows and orthotics, all right? So now we want to be healthy. This is not just about pillows and orthotics, but it's about health. So if you want it to be healthy, there's 5 critical elements that you need to apply. Number 1 is maximize mind. This is right now. The thing you're going to be learning grows your mind. Essential number 2 is nerve system. We have nutrition, oxygen, lean muscle mass, or fitness we call it, and minimize our exposure to toxins. That's how you get healthy. Now, next question we have here. Make sure you're signed up for the upcoming webinar seminar, so we can keep growing the mind, okay? That's very, very important, okay? Now, when we talk about the alignment as you stand and as you sleep, what are we talking about? What essential would you guess? Well, it's actually nerve supply. Well, wait a second, isn't that the bones? Well, see, the bones are just the structure, the framework and the protector of the spinal nerves and nerve roots. So if the spine becomes misaligned, it actually impacts the nervous system. So when we think about that, our goal is correcting subluxation so that you don't end up looking like this. Now, these are the various distortion patterns you can end up with, and that decays the nervous system. And if you get over 60% damage, your body becomes sicker and sicker and sicker. And we got to make sure we got the nerve system working at 100% so your body can be healthy. So, our idea, acceptable sleep position. So as we're sleeping at night, back is optimum. That's what we want you on. Side is acceptable, but never, ever, ever should you sleep on your stomach. And let me explain why. We have our blood, right? Our blood coursers throughout the entire body. Well, our central nervous system actually has its own blood supply. It's called cerebral spinal fluid, secreted by the brain. So what happens is the circulation from the brain down to the end of the spinal cord, it circulates through to keep nutrition for the spinal cord. Now, if you sleep on your belly, you're literally twisting that spine and twisting that spinal cord, choking off vital nutrition. So sleeping on your belly is actually quite a dangerous event. So never on your stomach. Back and side are okay, but the back is optimum. Now, when you come into our office, when you have come into our office, we took some x-rays. For what purpose? So we knew exactly what we needed to do to get the bones lined up. So in addition to that, we're going to add to this the orthotics and the pillows to make sure we get that balance. So sleeping position. Now this shows an x-ray and you can see the scoliosis twist in there. Do you see it right there? So the idea is when you get a twist, what happens is the distortion across the sacroiliac joints creates a functional long and short leg. So by sleeping in the proper position, you can aid in the correction process. So what we're going to be doing is we'll be drawing up the long leg side. So go ahead and hit enter for me. Okay, so we're going to draw up the long leg side. Whether you sleep on your back or your side is irrelevant. If you have a long leg on the right side, you'll draw up the right leg. If you have a long leg on the left side, you'll draw up the left leg. Now, how you find that out? Ask your doctor when you come into the office, because it's not really a physical short leg. It's a functional or physiological short leg. That's what we're trying to create. Now, in addition to your sleep position, we'll be using a spacer, and it also doubles as a bolster. Now, when we think about when we lay on our side, let's use that as the example. Your sacrum is shaped like a wedge, okay, when you're laying on your side. So the iliums, your hips, tend to drive together, which would damage nerves. So we want to make sure we're putting this spacer high up towards the groin to support those sacroiliac joints. Now, if you lay on your back, what you want to do is put your leg over the top of this to prop up that leg so you don't have to worry about thinking about it when you're sleeping at nighttime. That'll help take that distortion out, okay? Now, when we think about sleeping with our neck position, now the one on the left-hand side, you can see the reversal and decay and damage that's occurring on the spine. This is what happens after you get your back, when you're sleeping in your back position. Now the pillow we recommend is a Therapeutica. It's a pretty diverse pillow. First thing it does is in this area it has a mold in it that will make the curve in your neck mold as you sleep at nighttime. So when you're sleeping on your back like so, this helps to mold that neck into the position we're seeing here. Now from the side, again, the pillow is again very diverse. That's where you would start off. But when you get on your side like this, it rolls up onto your side. That supports your neck here and also supports your head. See, there's a nice support to that. Now, if you sleep on one side or another, it makes no difference. If your head is distorted this way, it'll push it in this direction when you're sleeping on it. If your head's distorted this way, it'll fall into the pillow. So either way is a good choice. The one shortcoming is the pillow, if it's the wrong size, and there are various sizes, but for some people, you can see on my shoulder, that deficit right there. What I would encourage you to do is go and buy a very inexpensive thin pillow. Add it to the pillowcase to make up the difference on your shoulders if you're a side sleeper. Now, if you're a combo sleeper, you got to kind of split the difference. So if you're on your back or your side, because you don't want too much, or you're throwing your head forward or distorting the head. So sometimes you got to do a little bit of a balancing act on those. So there's your side and back positions. Now, to start things off, we don't jump right into a pillow. We use our rolls, our sleep aids. Now, the big sleep aid, believe it or not, goes up in your neck area, and the other one goes in your lower back. Now, you'll start off, and I know you can't feel this, but I can, one that's very soft. You start with that, and you work your way up to the more dense foam. So, what you're going to do 20 minutes, so don't jump into 20 unless you can handle it. Let's say you're laying on these things for, I don't know, 5-10 minutes, and they start to bother you. Take them out and work your way up to mold your neck and lower back into that 20-minute cycle. And once you get to 20 minutes, then you're going to convert over to the more dense foam. And then you're going to shoot for 60 minutes. Now, once you get to 60 minutes, you're going to replace the rolls with the pillow. Okay? So follow that. So 20 minutes with the soft roll, then you go to the dense roll, work up for 60 minutes. Beyond 60, try and use your pillow. And again, you may have to use for a while, kind of work up on the pillow as well. Whatever it takes for you, all right? Now, once you have gotten to the end game, you can use these rolls periodically every 20 minutes to keep the spinal molding in action, okay? Now, one last thing up here is this. Now, if you have any questions about these things, now these are the wedges that came in your pack, okay? So now these are positioned a very specific spot. So if you have any questions, please ask your doctor or a team member on where to place these. So critical for working on that structural correction. Now, when we talk about feet, we talk about orthotics. What we're really talking about is this, the static and the dynamic foot. Now, what does that mean? The static foot is how your feet are when you're standing still. So what do your arches look like? Are they perfectly balanced? Is one dropped, another one, so on and so forth. That's the static foot. Now the dynamic foot is the walking or running gait, okay? A gait just means the stride. So as you're walking, there's certain patterns that your feet need to go. So the orthotics we use are static and dynamic, and they're both correct, and they are corrective in nature. Many times the orthotics simply accommodate a bad foot by adding material to make them soft and squishy. That doesn't help correct the feet, nor does it correct the knees, hip, or the spinal alignment. That's why we use this type of orthotic. Now there's 3 types of feet. The first one is the low arch or flat foot, medium arch, and high arch. Now, I often ask the question of my patients, which one's the best, which one's the good kind? And they say this one, or this one. Well, the truth of the matter is the medium arch is where we all want to play, but the combination arch is the worst, because if you've got a high arch on one side and a dropped arch on the other, that's going to cause a lot more spinal distortion. So we want to make sure and get the perfect set of orthotics. Now, we saw this picture earlier as it related to using your pillow. Now we're going to use it with our orthotics. Now you can see the collapsed arch here causing a distortion in the knee, which is causing the torque in the sacroiliac joints. Now over here on the x-rays, you can see the low hip, and there's balance, that's neutral. So you can see that hip, that leg is short, but it's not short because it's damaged. Now that does happen. If that does occur, we actually add a lift into the orthotic. But in this case, we have a perfect leg, and look at the distortion here. So what we've got to do is we've got to add in the custom orthotics. Now the orthotics look like this, and they'll go into your feet, and you can see the difference. See how lined up that is? So what we had was a dropped arch. Now it's level, 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 and helps to square up the balance. So you can see the before torque in here and see how it lines up after. So that's what we're after through the orthotic correction. All right? All right. Now, here's an example. This is the static foot. Now, this is, again, as it is, normal, with just standing there. Now, I want you to notice the knees. I call this the smiling knee because that arch is perfect. But see the distortion in the knee here? And we can actually see on the shorts how the shorts are unlevel. So the arch is collapsing on this side, or I'm not going to say collapse, it could be another pattern, but distorted, causing the knee pattern. We get the custom orthotics, and notice the after. See how it's lined up? I called it, look at, they're both smiling at us right there. So that's a beautiful example of immediately, look, even the shorts lined up. So I kind of like that picture, all right? So what we use is a foot scanner, okay? Now the foot scanner will actually, hit enter, okay, will actually help to correct this. So this is our foot scan machine. It's computer driven, and that's the pressure plate that we use to make that happen. Now what we're showing here is we're actually demonstrating the functional foot, the dynamic and static balance. Now notice on this is really neat. See how the foot is changing its position? So it's going through its normal motion. So the analysis phase of this is where the person actually walks across that. Do you see that? So we walk across both sides, and there's a certain pattern it needs to follow. So it's so critical that we get this. This is the dynamic foot. This is the static foot. We're actually measuring imbalances. Do you see? So this is the technology that we use. This isn't just grandma's old school orthotics that you buy off the rack or from other groups. This is going to create the foot, that basic alignment to help not only your foot, knees, and hips, but it's going to balance out your frame to affect the nervous system. So when you get your feet tested, with one of two situations. You've had your feet tested and your orthotics are on their way. It takes about 2 weeks. Or you're going to get your feet tested. When you come into the office, check with the front desk and say, I need to get my feet checked if you haven't done that so already. All right? Now, break-in period on the orthotics. You can go ahead and close this out. On break-in period, you want to break them in slowly, just like you'd be doing with your neck with the rolls. The difference is we don't have a progression for your orthotics. So all we have is time. So what you'll be doing is you'll put them in. Now our first goal, our first point is like an hour. Now if you put them in for an hour, I don't care if your feet feel good or bad, you take them out. Now if you start feeling bad in your feet after about 10, 15, 20 minutes, take them out then and work for the next point. So again, we want to try an hour today, 2 hours tomorrow, 3 hours the next. Once you get to 8 full hours, you can wear them 24/7 and keep using them because your foot has accommodated that, and the structure will start changing to impact, of course, the nervous system. Guys, that is your orthotics workshop. I want to encourage you to share this video with friends so they can understand why we're not just a typical chiropractic office. We're a 5 essentials office. Thanks for listening.